about to leave, already packing. Come with me, I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions. We'll get away, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out, die with my own doubts.
So hey everybody, it's Mickey, and on this gloomy winter day I have some awesome casserole recipes for you. You know, casseroles seem to be the quintessential winter comfort food that everybody loves, and these recipes fit the bill perfectly. So if you are new here, I hope you'll take a minute to subscribe. I put out new videos every week about all things home. This recipe that I'm going to share with you is for a chicken and rice casserole that is just so good and cheesy. It's one of those that I make a lot of times on the weekends to prep for the week ahead. It is great as a work day lunch, and it is great as a quick weeknight meal. This recipe is perfect if you have some leftover turkey, you know, maybe after Thanksgiving or a big Sunday meal. I have my chicken in the oven right now baking up, so let me show you what else you're going to need for this recipe. There are so many good things in this recipe that it just can't help but be good. So for this recipe, you are going to need a red and green bell pepper chopped. You're going to need about, I'm going to use probably half of this onion. You're going to need a cup of sour cream and a cup of mayo. You're going to need some long grain wild rice. I'm just using this rice-a-roni. You can also just use regular brown rice or white rice. You'll need some cheddar cheese. I have a bag of mixed frozen vegetables back here. You're going to need a can of sliced water chestnuts, and you'll need some Ritz crackers to smush up on the top of your casserole. So I have my rice cooking on the stove, and I'm going to start to chop up my vegetables. I've added a couple mushrooms here too. I had them in the refrigerator. I think they will be really good in this recipe. I really do love casseroles because you can pretty much, you know, add in whatever you have in your refrigerator. One of the best things about casseroles is that they are such a huge time saver. You know, we are busier than ever, and casseroles are so easy to prep the day or night before. Then the day of, all you have to do is stick it in your oven and put it on your table. Casseroles always freeze really well, so you can oftentimes double a recipe, serve one, and then put one in your freezer for later. Then we're going to saute our mushrooms, onions, and peppers in a large pan. I'm also going to add a little bit of garlic to this mix. We're going to saute these until they are soft and translucent. While the veggies are cooking, I am just going to shred up a couple chicken breasts. You're going to want, I guess, about 3 cups of chicken, or whatever you have left over from another meal would be great. You could also, if you have just a little bit of chicken left over, you can use a can of chicken mixed in. It all works. So I have about 3 cups here, and I'm going to put this in a large bowl where we're going to mix everything up. To our big bowl that we have all of our chicken in, we are going to add the rice, the can of water chestnuts, We're gonna add most of this bag of 12 ounces of mixed vegetables. And then I'm going to add some mayonnaise and some sour cream. I've also added a little bit of garlic powder, some Mrs. Dash, some dried parsley, and then we are going to add our sauteed veggies. And we'll mix this all up and get it in our casserole dish. As far as the sour cream and the mayo, I have probably added about a half a cup of each of them to this mixture. It really depends on if you want a creamier casserole or one that's a little bit more dry. I like mine a little bit more dry because we're going to be adding about a cup of cheddar cheese to this. I am using the 4-state cheddar, which is one of our favorite blends. It has white and yellow cheddar. So we're just going to eyeball it and put like a handful in there. We're going to save the rest for the top of the casserole. Mix that up. And I think it's ready for the dish. So I'm going to spray my casserole with some nonstick spray. And then pour our mixture inside. Cover the top with your cheddar cheese. And then what I like to do with casseroles, I like to give it a little bit of a crunchy topping. So I'll just take a bunch of Ritz crackers and just kind of smush them on top and sprinkle all around. You can add a little bit butter to the top as well. Some people like to add an egg to the crumbs, but honestly, I just think your plain crackers are enough. So we're gonna cover this with foil and put it in the oven at 350 for 35 minutes. I've just taken this out of the oven and it just smells so good and looks so good. I can't wait to plate this up so I can take a couple bites, and I will surely show you what it looks like on the plate. This casserole is just so good. It has so many yummy things inside of it. I have the family gathered around the table right now, so I'm going to join them. I just wanted to remind you that I will have the recipes for the casseroles I shared today down in the description box, and you guys will have to let me know if you try them, or especially if you added something different to them. I'd love to see what you did. One of the other things that I love about casseroles are that they make great work lunches. You will probably see this clip in an upcoming video that I'm working on about weekend prep, but I wanted to include it here to encourage you to bring these casseroles along with you in your lunch for work. Usually what I do is I line up a few days worth of lunches, I portion them out, stick them in the refrigerator, so when I am packing lunches after dinner at night, all I need to do is pull one out of the fridge and stick it in a lunchbox. This makes the whole lunch packing process so much easier, and you always know that you have something good to bring along with you or to send along with your special someone for lunch. This recipe that I'm going to share with you is very sentimental to me. This is one of my mom's recipes that she used to make for us, you know, like back in the 80s when we were all young. And we used to call this hairdo pasta because my mom would make this usually on Fridays because she would get her hair done every Friday. So she would always want a recipe that she can put together really quick in time for us, you know, to come home from school and sit down to dinner. One of the most important things you're going to need for this recipe is a deep casserole dish because we are going to be layering a lot of ingredients and you don't want it to spill in your oven and make a mess. So this one is one that I just found on Amazon. I'm going to leave the link for it down below for you. I really love white casserole dishes because I think that they look really nice on your table and you can use them for every holiday. So I'll be sure to leave the link to that down below. Now the ingredients that you're going to need some ground turkey. My mom always used ground beef, but I've been replacing, you know, ground beef in recipes with ground turkey. You can also use ground bison if you have that in your area. You're also going to need about a pound of pasta. I'm just going to be using some elbow macaroni. I think everybody has a box of this in their house. You can also use like medium shells or any other small pasta that you have around. Of course, you're going to need a package of shredded Italian style cheese. I like this blend because it has a lot of stuff in there. It has Asiago, Romano, Parmesan, provolone, and mozzarella, and that's such a great combination. You're also going to need some tomato sauce. Now my mom, of course, always used her homemade stuff, but today I just grabbed a bottle of some just traditional marinara sauce. This is a 24-ounce jar. You're probably only going to need about 16 to 20 ounces. You're going to need a can of Italian stewed tomatoes, some garlic, a container of sour cream. I like to use the full sour cream, not the light sour cream. I just think that it works better in the recipe. You'll need some sliced mushrooms, some chopped onion, and of course you're going to need just, you know, your basic salt and pepper, Mrs. Dash, garlic powder, whatever you like to use to season your food. So I'm going to chop up my onion and get my ground turkey browning in a skillet. I have my turkey browning here in the pan. It's about almost like halfway done. So I'm gonna add in my mushrooms and onions and get those all cooking together. While the meat, onions, and mushrooms are cooking away, I started a big pot of salted water so that we can start cooking our elbow macaroni so everything gets done about the same time. So our meat and onions, mushrooms, and garlic are pretty much cooked through. I'm going to add the can of stewed tomatoes and the majority of this jar of tomato sauce. That looks pretty good. And we're going to mix that all together and we're going to season it with a little bit of garlic powder, Mrs. Dash salt and pepper, and I'm also going to add just a little bit of sugar. As I do with all kinds of different tomatoes, it just cuts the acidity and sweetens the sauce. I'm also going to add a little bit of red pepper flakes to give it just a little bit of spice. And then we're going to let this simmer for about 15 minutes or so, and then we're going to combine it into our casserole dish. So I'm all set up here with my casserole dish. I have my meat mixture and my elbow macaroni. I am just going to spray my dish with a little bit of nonstick cooking spray, and then I am going to start layering. So we're going to start with the macaroni. So I added to this a little bit of butter, some garlic powder, salt and pepper, just to season it a little bit because it is a layer in our casserole here. So we're just going to do a thin layer here on the bottom. There we go, and then we're going to spread that all out, and we are going to add a layer of the meat. And just so you know, I went ahead and I used that whole jar. So this is 24 ounces of tomato sauce in here. The more the merrier. A little more never hurts. So we're just going to spread this on top of our macaroni layer. And then we're going to take our sour cream and put a couple dollops on top, and then we'll smooth that out. I really don't know where my mom came up with this recipe. I don't know if she just put this together one day from, you know, like what she had left over in the refrigerator. But it was really good. I remember the first time that she had made it, it was one of those things. I was a picky eater when I was young, and it was one of those things that we all ate, no complaints, and it was even better left over. All right, so we have a good layer of sour cream here. And then I'm gonna add just a little sprinkling of cheese. And then we're just going to repeat the layers. And then we're just going to cover the whole top of it with cheese. Over the top, I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of parsley on top of the cheese. I just think it looks pretty when it's all done. And then I'm going to cover this with some tin foil, and then I'm going to bake in a 350-degree oven for about 35 minutes. The last thing, and probably the most important thing that I really love about casseroles, are the leftovers. I have found that casseroles are even better the next day. I guess something really magical happens in the refrigerator that just makes them taste so much better. And any day I don't have to cook is a happy day for me. This casserole is so yummy. We like to serve it up with a side of green beans, and I like to top it with a little extra sour cream. It is just so good and comforting on a really cold day, and I hope you will try this. I think your family's gonna love it. So that's going to do it for me today. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed today's video and that you are inspired to pull out one of your favorite casserole recipes and make one this week. I would love if you would leave me a comment down below. Let me know what your favorite casserole recipes are. I would really love to try some of your favorites in my kitchen, so be sure to leave me a little recipe down below. Join our communities over on Facebook and Instagram at My Bashful Life. And please don't forget to subscribe. I'd love to have you all back as part of our YouTube family. So until I see you in that next video, I hope that you love the life that you have. Be kind to each other. Stay safe, and I will see you again soon. Bye.
This is what we wait